On a warm Saturday afternoon, the quiet neighborhood was buzzing with the sound of lawnmowers, kids riding bikes, and sprinklers clicking away. It was the kind of suburban peace people dreamed of when they bought into a homeowners association community. But in this cul-de-sac, that peace had long been threatened by one particular woman, the self-appointed enforcer, known by nearly everyone as HOA Karen. She wasn't officially in charge of anything, though she often acted like she was. Clipboard in hand, sunglasses perched on her nose, and her phone always ready to dial 911, she believed the neighborhood ran on her rules. Her latest obsession was Marcus, a quiet black homeowner who had moved into the community a year earlier. Marcus kept to himself, paid his dues on time, and minded his business. His yard was neat, his house was spotless, and his driveway was always clear. Still, that didn't matter to Karen. She couldn't stand that Marcus didn't bend to her constant nagging. He didn't attend the neighborhood meetings she tried to host. He didn't respond when she left typed notes about his improper blinds or unapproved lawn decor. And worst of all, he didn't seem to fear her. Karen's resentment grew each day. In her mind, Marcus was deliberately disrespecting the HOA, even though she had no real authority. She convinced herself she had the right to enforce what she called standards. That afternoon, as Marcus was away running errands, Karen spotted a package being delivered to his front porch. She watched from across the street, tapping her foot impatiently. She decided this was her chance to inspect his property. After all, she had already tried peeking through his blinds the week before and gotten nowhere. Now she thought she'd go further. Marching across the street, Karen strutted up to his porch, looking around like a guard dog scanning for intruders. She bent over the package, reading the label, then muttered, "Probably not even his. Bet he doesn't live here legally." Then she did something bold, something that would backfire in ways she couldn't imagine. She grabbed the doorknob and tried to open Marcus's front door. She twisted once, twice, and even tried giving it a shove. Locked. She frowned, rattled it harder, and muttered under her breath. Why would he lock the door in the middle of the day? What's he hiding? Neighbors across the street gasped. A couple sitting on their porch whispered to each other, is she seriously trying to break into his house? But everyone knew better than to confront Karen directly. She thrived on drama and had a way of twisting every confrontation into an excuse to call the police. And right on cue, when the door didn't budge, Karen pulled out her phone and dialed 911. Yes, I'd like to report a break-in, she said, her voice dripping with false urgency. There's suspicious activity at one of the houses here. The resident's probably not supposed to be here, and I believe the door has been tampered with. She conveniently left out the fact that she was the one tampering with it. Within minutes, a sheriff's patrol car rolled into the neighborhood, lights flashing. Residents peeked through their curtains, murmuring to each other. They all knew the story would spread fast. Karen was at it again. But today was different, because when the deputy stepped out of the car, Karen's smug expression faltered. The man in uniform was tall, broad-shouldered, with a calm but commanding presence. His badge gleamed in the sunlight. It wasn't just any deputy. It was Marcus's son, Sheriff David Collins. He had grown up in this county, earned respect the hard way, and eventually been elected as the youngest sheriff in the area's history. His reputation was ironclad, fair, firm, and absolutely no tolerance for nonsense. Karen's jaw dropped. She had seen him before in local news features but had no idea he was connected to Marcus. Still, her arrogance didn't let her stop. "Officer," she cried, waving frantically. "Thank goodness you're here. This man, your resident here, he's not supposed to be living in this house. I caught him trying well, I suspect illegal activity. The door was locked in the middle of the day, which is suspicious, and..." David raised a hand to stop her. His tone was calm but carried authority. "Ma'am, slow down. What exactly are you accusing my father of?" The color drained from her face. "Your father?" "Yes," he said firmly. "This is my father's house. And you just admitted you were trying to open his front door." The neighbors who had been watching suddenly leaned in closer, eyes wide. Karen stumbled over her words. "And no, I wasn't breaking in. I was ensuring community safety. We have rules here." And David's eyes narrowed. "Rules don't give you the right to trespass on private property. What you did could be considered attempted unlawful entry. You called 911 under false pretenses, wasting county resources. That's a crime in itself." Karen's face flushed red. For the first time, her confidence wavered. She had expected to be praised for her diligence, not confronted by someone who couldn't be manipulated. And certainly not by the sheriff, let alone the sheriff who was the homeowner's son. The crowd of neighbors was no longer hiding. Phones were out, recording. Murmurs spread like wildfire. She tried to break in, she called 911 on Marcus, that's his son, the sheriff. David stepped closer, his voice dropping lower, more controlled. I've received too many complaints about your behavior in this neighborhood. Today you crossed a line. You're lucky my father isn't pressing charges for attempted entry. But I will be filing an official report about this false emergency call. If you continue this kind of harassment, you'll be facing charges. Do you understand? Karen stammered, her words barely audible. I was just trying to help. David didn't flinch. No, you were trying to control people who don't answer to you. That ends today. With that, he turned to the neighbors and said, for everyone's safety, if you ever see suspicious behavior, call the sheriff's office directly. Do not take matters into your own hands, especially not like this. The crowd nodded, relief washing over them. Someone muttered, finally. Karen stood frozen on the porch, her power shattered in an instant. She was no longer the self-proclaimed enforcer but the woman caught red-handed, humiliated in front of the entire neighborhood. And with the sheriff himself living just a phone call away through his father, she knew her days of unchecked bullying were over. That day, the neighborhood shifted. The whispers turned into laughter behind closed doors, and for once, it wasn't Marcus who was the target, it was Karen. And though she still strutted around with her clipboard, everyone knew she'd been put in her place, exposed by her own arrogance. And Marcus, he returned home later to find his son waiting on the porch, smiling. Heard you had some excitement today, Dad. Marcus chuckled, shaking his head. Figures. Karen can't help herself. David grinned. Don't worry, she won't be bothering you much longer. Some lessons hit harder when they come straight from the law. And for the first time in a long while, Marcus felt a weight lift off his shoulders. The message was clear. Karen's reign of intimidation had ended, and peace was finally restored, because this time, the sheriff was family.